Hi everybody, it's Missy with Unique Treasures by MJ. Today I'm going to bring to you some information about how I tea dye, coffee dye, color my papers, and what kinds of papers do I use, or kind of papers that I use. I love doing this process because to me it's like people who meditate. It's just, I get to get in my groove. I'm not talking to anybody. I don't put on music. I do listen to music, but at this time I don't listen to music when I do this particular process. It's just really good, mindless, clearing the clutter from my head and just, getting into motion. So we're going to talk about the coloring first. And as you see in this, uh, and I apologize the way the angle is on the camera, but this is how I got everything in the camera view. I wanted to show you the exact setup that I have. And this is for the smaller papers. This is for the larger papers that I'll show you. And we fill them up. There's the lines about here. I think you could see like the T line here. I usually wash these. I'm not sure why this one's not done, but there's a T line. And this is one of the ways that we color is the Kool-Aid. We also use the Easter egg dyes that come in those packets, and we use food coloring. Sometimes when we use the Easter egg dyes, we will add more water to them as the water starts going down, as the colored water starts going down. And then we will add more of whatever color with the dye, and it just brings it back to life. Or if we don't like the color, say it's too light, we will add dye to any of the colors, no matter what method we're using, to increase the color or the richness of that color. So the next thing we're going to talk about, and also we use tea bags, and and tea bags can be regular tea bags. We started out with, Lipton and all that, and then we went to the dollar store and we got cheap Bo Depot tea bags because it doesn't matter for this process. We're not drinking it. So we just want the color, and that's what we got. So go to the dollar store, grab you some tea bags, and we put like 4 or 5 and probably a quart of water, pour it in, and then we do 2 or 3 depending on how deep we go, but usually it's not that much. But right away, I start putting paper in. I don't wait till I get to a certain amount of tea. I will put in how many papers can hold it, can tolerate being in here without staying dry on top. And also, I put them in. So I'm going to turn this here. I will grab the paper. I have a setup where I have the baking sheet here. And I will put shop towels down because it's the blue paper towels that are really nice and thick because I can dry them out and use them again. And I put shop towels down on the baking sheet. I lift up my wet paper, let it drip a little bit. Sometimes I even rotate it, okay? And then I will bring it over and I will lay it this way across. And then I'll lay a second one, and sometimes they overlap a little bit. And then I'll take a shop towel and lay that over it and then proceed to dry. And then I take the bottom shop towel, flip it over. So now I'm picking up the paper, the top, bottom of the towel, flipping it. I'm sorry. I will take off the top after I dry it, grab the bottom paper towel, flip it, and pat and peel it off, and then I'll stick it in the oven just like so. Okay, so that's how we do that. I hope I didn't confuse you in that process. All right, let's talk about paper because a lot of us wanted that crunchy paper. We love the noise. I do. I love the noise of that crunchy paper. So let me show you what we use. We use parchment paper. Does not matter what kind of parchment paper. I've used different brands, so it should not matter, I should say, in the parchment paper. And then we also use the deli paper, and this is what they wrap your sandwiches up at the deli. And then we also use the legal paper. And I don't care about the weight or poundage. This I got for $1 from somebody that was just getting rid of a bunch of stuff. And they were selling books and papers and stuff. And I got this for $1. And this one is 8.5 inches by 14. And that's what I've been using. And when I use this up, I'll go get something else. Prior to this, I used my mom's legal papers papers that came like this from her office when she retired from the government. Okay, so now let's talk about the crunchiness and what papers are these. Which ones give me that crunch? I have some already tea dyed, coffee dyed, and colored, and I will show you what those are. These here, nice and crunchy, right? These are my legal size papers. I will let you know that we have two processes of drying. We hang them on, like we're hanging clothes on a clothesline. We have one strung across when we don't keep it up, but when I do this process, I take like 5 hours out of my day to do this. And I will have my oven on 300, and I will set the timer for 2 to 3 minutes, depending on the papers and how things are going, meaning that I could have my papers too wet and I need to keep it in there for another minute. So 2 to 3 minutes usually does the trick. If you don't want them as crunchy as this, then leave them in there for less time. Take them out. They're going to feel a little damp. They're going to feel a little bit like cloth, and you just go ahead and let them dry somewhere else. Dry them on, just lay out some paper towels and lay them on there if you don't want it this crunchy. This has not been pressed or ironed, okay? This one was coffee dyed. This one was tea dyed. And you can see that it's a little bit, it's not as crunchy, right? This one's been pressed. So, and there's, lighter versions, and these are tea. They both are tea dyed. So the longer you keep it in, the darker the shade's gonna be. And here is regular paper. I didn't show you this one. Regular copy paper. I just pulled it out of the copy machine and I stuck it in the water. And this is me leaving it in longer, and this is what happens. And you get these really cool. I think they're cool. I like it. I mean, you could actually take some watercolor and go around here. If you just don't feel like really crafting and making something, take some of your paper, do some really cool stuff with it. This one is the die that is from, let me think here. This is the Easter egg die. And so that turned out really pretty. And that's actually the purple that turned out kind of raspberry color. And then here's the orange one, and this is from, let me see if I can get the contrast on there so you can really see it. This is from the food coloring, added food coloring. So that is that, and you can tell the difference of these papers from not pressed, the more crunchier the not pressed ones are, and the pressed ones, when you, put them under heat, get a little less, but they still are nice and crisp. But we haven't even gotten to the crunchiest part yet. Let me show you now some different papers. This is deli paper, okay? It's still nice and smooth and pliable, and it feels smooth. This has been pressed, and I can take these out if I want to. When they're partially wet, I can wipe these spots out, but I like to keep them in there because I like to have a variety of papers for different reasons. You see this one's partially done. I can go back in here with watercolor pencils. I can go in there with watercolor. I can jelly roll over this. I mean, you can just really do some cool stuff, but I would probably leave this alone. This is parchment paper, by the way. This is super, hear that? It's probably hurting your ears. I'll stop doing that, but I want to crunch it up so bad. I love that noise. More parchment paper. This is pressed parchment paper versus not pressed parchment paper. This one is nice and still loud, but this one is still super loud no matter if you bend it or not. Here is more parchment paper. Do you see that it doesn't soak up like paper does? I have to leave this in there super long. And depending on how much I turn it over, does it cover up? As you can see, I just took this out. And I will ball it up and then put it down into the color. And then here's deli paper. Okay, now that you've seen these, I'm going to show you the process of how I make these. This isn't processed, so don't look too hard at this. How I make these folders. And I actually have a couple that are in process. This one's in process. See this here? That's in process. So that's just that paper. Okay, and I'm going to end up folding this up and sewing it. Here is, not that. Here is that legal size paper, a piece of the parchment paper, and then I will take another legal size paper and put that on top. I just wanted to leave that aside and show you that I'll put another legal size paper and I just glue it with this glue, my art glitter glue. I'll just take it around here on the edges, and sometimes I'll even go in the middle, sometimes just depending really. And then I take another legal size paper like so, and I'll just go like this. And sometimes if I see that this came out too fast, I will go ahead and I will take a ruler or something flat, a credit card. I have them laying around here too, old, like ones that those fake ones they send you. And I will just go ahead to smooth out. And I use that a lot. I use that method a lot in things I do that I glue. I will go ahead and smooth it out because I like the glue really super smooth. And on those papers that you can see the glue through, if you can catch it fast enough, because this does dry pretty fast. If you catch it fast enough, you can go ahead and get those marks out of there so that you don't see that glue come through your projects. So now I have this piece, right? Well, then I just take this piece and I fold it, get my fold lines to where I want it. Pretend this is glued, so you're not gonna see that, okay? And then voila. So I got my fold lines. I go back, because sometimes I don't want to sew it all the way around. Sometimes I want to sew it partially in different places or spots. Say I don't want to do the traditional sew the whole thing around. Say I want to get creative and I want to glue part of this, right? Glue part of this and sew just the corners to have that look on the outside, or do a different color of thread. And so you just, use your imagination how you want to decorate this. It doesn't have to be like the videos that we watch and exact. We can make this our own, okay? And that's how I got this. So now this one's ready to go and decorate. Okay, and you hear that? It's nice, it's got a nice thickness to it. And this is my paper video, and I hope it answered some of your questions. 300 degrees, I set my oven on. I use a baking pan, I love a pretty large one. And then I'll have a baking pan, I'll have my aluminum foil pan with my color in it. And then I usually will have another baking pan. Sometimes I have two side by side of the colors. And then because I'll go one here and then one there, so it's super easy. It really is, guys. If you have any questions, comments, please leave them below. I hope this kind of answers some questions. I would love to do the process in front of you, actually doing it. But right now I don't know how to stop and start a video to, pick it right back up. And anyways, y'all have a good day. I hope you enjoyed this. Bye.